So what's happened here is we got this set in place here now, and it was a bit of a struggle getting this in. And what I've done here is I left the mounting tabs here on both pieces, and then I just ran a 1/4" bolt in there, the nut on the back. So now it is all located exactly where it should be. I've also installed the hood braces again, as you saw, and they're both in exactly the same spot as they were, so that's a promising sign. The original plan here was to just do a nice scribed line here, peel this back off, cut to the scribed line, set it back on, and then I'd have a perfect gap all the way through. But I can see just how much of a bugger this is getting on and off, that we're gonna have to resort to piracy here, and I'm just gonna do the old cut and butt here. I can fit this on and off 50 times and try and do my scribed all perfect and everything, and it would fit different every time just because of the way that this is with all the floppiness and such of it. So the old cut and butt is definitely the right option in my opinion on this particular job. Besides, this is a flat rate job, and I only got about 3 minutes to do the whole job here, so we gotta really hustle on it now. But you can see over here, just because of the way this side isn't rusted out, this is all perfectly solid here. We treated the rust, and then so I'm not going to cut that out. So it created a bit of a problem with getting this to fit in. So you can see this is underlapped here, and it's overlapped the rest of the way. So what we're going to have to do here is I'm going to have to cut it up and then slice through both layers here. Technically, we could cut it down here, but I don't like doing that, and the reason for that is it's really hard to grind and then later on bodywork into a recess low crown curve like this, whereas this is dished out more crowned, so it'll be very easy to finish that out. And so that is the theory there. So I always try to go for into a crown. I really try to avoid this. You could weld and whatever, but then when you go start trying to bodywork that, you're gonna hate your life. Got her. So I was gonna weld this section from the other hood in here, which is the front piece, but then I started looking on the inside and it is starting to rust in here. I mean, it's not bad, we could just clean this up and use this, but I figured, seeing as how we've already got this sacrificed hood here with an entire side of good, clean, unrusted metal, I might as well just cut it from here and put in, nice metal. So now that we got our panel just tack welded in every inch or so, the next and most important step is going to be to test fit everything. So we're going to want to test fit our bezels here. We're going to put the hood latch back in and make sure the hood closes and fits and does everything that it needs to do. I don't care how long you've been doing this for or how experienced you are or whatever. The one time you don't test fit everything, it's going to come back and bite you. Now's the time to find out that things aren't going to fit, because it's a lot easier to cut apart and rework a tack weld rather than a full finished welded grinded seam. A lot less disappointing too. So naturally we're not going to do any of that because failure is YouTube content gold. I'm just going to blast this thing in and hope for the best. It'll also be another great opportunity to teach you one of the most important lessons of autobody. I don't care what any of the textbooks say, I don't care what any of the other autobody channels say. The single most important thing about autobody that you gotta remember is to never, ever, ever accept responsibility for your mistakes. I don't care if you have to blame the other employees, blame your manager, blame the customer, blame the vehicle, blame the last person who worked on the vehicle, blame the people who designed the vehicle, blame the materials, blame your tools, blame someone else's tools, blame your neighbor, blame the cat, blame the dog, blame your fish, or even blame a frog. But don't ever, ever show accountability or remorse. Now the great moment of truth. Sure. I'm gonna say that's probably good enough for what we're trying to do here. I'm not trying to make it perfect or anything, but for just winging it there, that could have gone horribly, horribly wrong. And in the end, it all kind of worked out. Really happy with how these spark lights and everything fit still. So that's cool. Just, I guess for the record here, what we're doing, uh, in a couple weeks, this entire truck is getting blown apart into a million pieces. Basically the entire front end except the hood is getting tossed in the trash, and we've got mostly original sheet metal to replace it all. So that's what's happening there. So I'm not worried about getting everything fitting perfect. Not that it ever will fit perfect, but that's why things are the way they are, and that's what's happening with this. But I did want to get this repair out of the way while the hood is on the truck. That way I can make sure that everything is in the right spot, the hood still closes and everything like that. I don't want to do all this and then put it all together in a couple months time and then find out that it's way out. So that was the theory there. I guess I never really explained why I did it this way or what we were doing exactly. So the reason we replaced the front of this hood is not only do we have rust here, we got rust all along the front here. Just because there's no hole there yet doesn't mean that if I was to clean this up, there would be holes all through here, all here, right here, and continuing on. This is all going to be gone. Anytime you see that, it's probably going to be a hole. This corner wasn't bad, but just the way the panel is constructed, we elected to just change out the entire front of it. If we take a look at the inside here, same issue. You can see it's all starting to peel up where it meets the inner brace. That means it's rusted. We've got rust there. That's a hole. So the entire bottom lip of this inner brace is completely gone as well. So there's really nothing there to save. It was just faster to change out the whole unit. Is this the best way to do this? Absolutely not. But it is one of the faster ways, I guess, other than just hammering it in and glorping on some short hair. But that's not really probably a very good way to do it, but who am I to judge? I guess a bit cleaner way in theory would be to just change the entire front panel. The problem with that is in order to do that, you have to remove the entire inner brace, which involves drilling out all the spot welds down here. And then once that's out, you can access the pinch weld right here. Now, the problem is there's not really enough room because of the way that this hood peeks out to actually get a decent weld in there. So we kind of have to cobble it together there a bit. So we'd also have to make kind of a mess getting it apart because again, there's not really much access. So what I'd have to do is cut it up here off the donor hood, then grind the welds, the spot welds from the top, separate it all, and then do the opposite on the other hood, and then hopefully get it all fitting back together, and which would definitely work. The other issue that I have with that is that the fitment on these trucks was never great, and as the dies wore out, this hood was run from, I believe, 1962 up to 1966. So as the dies and stuff wear out, the stamping gets less crisp and the way they fit together is less crisp. So if we look at this hood, this must be an earlier hood because you can see the seam is fairly good all through here. It all fits fairly nice, and our edges and everything here are very crisp. But if we look at the 1966 hood, this is all a lot more rounded off. I don't know if that really shows up on camera, and if we look at how this aligns to here, it does not fit at all. It's all very proud, inconsistent fit. It doesn't line up very good. Well, that's all well and fine. That's the way it was originally, but if I go and put that together and weld that all there, and then now suddenly I'm obligated to make it better than what it was because I've gone in there and I've done that. And so that's the first thing people are going to notice. And they're going to say, oh, well, you didn't fit that very good. And you can say that it was like that from factory, but I mean, That's kind of a, sounds like you're just making excuses. So I just elected to just leave the factory seam alone and just splice it in where I had to. And again, I think that was a lot faster to repair. Because I didn't have to take out the inner brace completely, I was able to just section it in as a unit, and it all worked out fairly well. The other thing is technically this hood is repairable, but there is pretty heavy damage and it doesn't show up very well on camera. But this is just absolutely mangled, and then someone has tried to hammer it out all across this front edge. Like I said, it doesn't show up very well on camera. All through here, very, very rough. And down the sides, there's a whole bunch of creases and lumps and bumps. So, while this is repairable, I felt that it was going to be less work, and well, just from my personal endeavors into the world of autobody, that this sectioning this into the old hood was still less work than repairing the entire basically surface of this hood, because that also would involve removing this entire brace to get access, and that's again a whole lot of work, and still going to have to do a bunch of welding afterwards. So no matter what, you know, it just didn't make sense to fix this hood, and so that's why we sacrificed it. And whatever, I mean, it's a hood for one of the most common Chevy trucks ever built, so there wasn't really any hard feelings about cutting this thing up. Now the hood is still rotted out here on both sides, as a matter of fact. So if any of you are interested, I'll do a part 2 on this video, and we'll repair this damage. I also thought of some other MIG welding tips and tricks for people that I haven't mentioned in my previous videos that might be helpful. So if, like I said, if you're interested, we'll do a part 2 on this, and we'll go into a little more detail on MIG welding in panels on sheet metal like this, and a couple of different things that you can try that and that will hopefully help you and prevent, you know, warping or making a mess and things like that. I haven't seen a few of these things mentioned on the other MIG welding videos that other people have on YouTube, but this video is more about just doing the work, so that's what happened there. Also wanted to address some big controversy on this project here. Last couple of videos, there's been a lot of comments about the alignment of our panels here, specifically the bed to the cab. If you can see that there. And so I thought we'd just take a moment to address that concern. Maybe it's not clear enough, but this is a project truck. It's not a finished truck. And while I don't have any intentions of trying to make perfect Cadillac gaps on it, you know, it's very much a project truck. In fact, the entire bottom, like 6 inches of the cab is missing. The firewall is basically rusted right up to here. There's issues, and so I don't know. I haven't even taken a grinder to anything other than the hood on this truck yet, so there's a lot of work to be done. You know, some things like that there we'll probably take a look at while we're in the process of spending hundreds of hours welding this thing back together. The other thing to remember is that the fitment on these trucks was never good from factory. And the funny thing is that we're kind of holding these to a modern standard, but the modern standard is also garbage. I can, if you look at the 2020, the new body style, the ones that look like a stupid alien, if you look at the alignment of the box to cab on those, there's a big issue with those. Not all of them have it, but there's quite a few where the box and the cab are out by over an inch right from factory. And the only real difference between these old trucks and the new trucks is the new trucks, they don't have any adjustment really built into them. That, and you're paying a whole pile more for a new truck, and you're not really getting what you pay for. One cool thing about these GM vehicles from the 1960s and probably late 50s as well, it does not matter how rusted and beat to death they are and how bad the door hinges are. You can open the door and they still close like basically new. So, but just to, yeah. And that, so there's not much left at the bottom of this thing, but it's, that's what, try that on a 10-year-old truck. Anyways, let's just take a moment to admire some of the factory quality here. I don't know if you can see how they masked off this white. This white is still factory, even though the truck is repainted. On this color is repainted, but the white is still factory, and you can see it's got a banana shape in here. And this is like just whatever they had laying, just hammer it on there, get it out the door. So your sweet panel alignment here, that's all factory. Not fixing a whole lot of that. Might be able to adjust the door a bit, but like I said, not fixing the factory issues. That's just the way they were made, and I'm totally fine with that. It's a truck after all. Same deal over here. You can see how this kind of comes down and then this comes back up like so. This would have been all painted once the door is on the truck, and so that's just kind of fun to see that. And again, we've got our pristine door panel alignment here, all very nice. Whatever, throw it on, keep the gaps wide so that we got tight up here, big right here. But again, not fixing the factory stuff because I think it's kind of fun, and it is a truck after all. Another fun thing on these is the inside of the interior is this color, and then we go towards the front of the door and factory overspray. So the door is on the cab when the exterior panels are all painted, and they just kind of blew in paint there, so that's kind of fun. And the front sheet metal would have gone on afterwards. So just one final thing before we go here. This coming Sunday, which is August the 6th of the year 2023, so if you're watching this from the future, you're too late, but probably around 12 o'clock noon Central Standard Time, we'll attempt to do a live stream on the channel here. So we did one about 4 months ago, and it was kind of last minute, and a few of you didn't get the notifications, so I thought we'd try it again here. And so if anybody has any questions, or they just want to troll me or do whatever you want to do, you're welcome to stop by this Sunday, which is again the 6th of August 2023. And I don't plan on doing live streams on a regular basis or anything like that. I think it's a bit much if it starts going weekly and stuff like that, but I thought maybe every 4 to 6 months, if you folks are interested, we could have one, and it just gives you all an opportunity to ask questions or just BS about cars, and possibly the cats will stop by for a visit. I think last time they were a little shy, but we'll see if we can get them on as well. I don't know when this video is coming out, possibly Wednesday this week, probably a little earlier for the folks on Patreon. I'm going to try to crank out another video this week. I got a busy couple of weeks coming up, but we'll try to crank out another video for Saturday this week. In Saturday's video, I'll try to remind everyone again about the live stream, just so that nobody misses out, at least the people that want to watch my videos. And I do very much appreciate you all watching. It really helps me out a lot, and as usual, thanks as well to anyone who's donated to the channel, and of course the folks on Patreon who make their generous monthly donations to fund whatever it is we're trying to do here. So you all are very much appreciated, and we'll quit yakking here and sign off, and we'll see you again soon.